My selfish mom's abusive boyfriend took my college savings to buy his new house, and mom took his side, saying she had more authority over my money because she gave birth to me. I brought cops to their housewarming party and humiliated them in front of guests. I, 16F, have been living with my mom, 42F, since my parents got divorced when I was 10. My dad passed away 2 years ago, leaving me a significant amount of money for my future education. As I'm not an adult yet, the money was put under my mom's care until I turn 18. About a year ago, my mom started dating this guy, let's call him Mark, 39M. From the beginning, I had a bad feeling about him. He was always loud and pushy, and he drank a lot. At first, he tried to act nice around me, but it didn't take long for his true colors to show. Mark moved in with us about 6 months ago, and that's when things really started to go downhill. He and my mom fought all the time. I mean, all the time. It's constant yelling, slamming doors, and throwing things. I've tried to talk to my mom about it, but she always defends him, saying he's just going through a rough patch or that I don't understand adult relationships. The worst part is, even though they fight so much, my mom seems completely crazy about him. It's like she can't see how terrible he is for her, for me, for our whole family. She's always making excuses for his behavior and trying to smooth things over after their fights. I've been spending more and more time in my room or at my friends' houses, just trying to avoid the drama at home. It's been really stressful, and my grades have started to slip because it's hard to concentrate on schoolwork with all the chaos going on. A few weeks ago, I overheard Mark talking to my mom about buying a house. He said he had some money saved up, but not enough for the down payment he wanted. I didn't think much of it at the time, just glad that maybe he'd be moving out. But then, yesterday, everything blew up. I came home from school to find my mom and Mark in the living room, looking excited. They told me they had big news. They had just put an offer on a house, and it had been accepted. At first, I was confused. How could they afford a house? Mark doesn't even have a steady job, and my mom's salary isn't that high. That's when Mark, with this smug look on his face, said, "We used that college fund your dad left you. It was just sitting there, and this is a much better investment." I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. My college fund? The money my dad had worked so hard to save for me? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I looked at my mom, expecting her to say it was a joke or a mistake, but she just nodded along with Mark. I lost it. I started yelling at them, asking how they could do this to me, how they could steal my future like that. Mark just rolled his eyes and muttered something about me being a dramatic teenager. But my mom, her reaction was what really broke my heart. She looked at me with this cold expression and said, "I'm your mother. I gave birth to you. I have more right to that money than you do. We're using it for our family's future." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Our family's future? What about my future? The future my dad had worked so hard to secure for me? I ran to my room and slammed the door, crying my eyes out. I've been in here ever since, trying to figure out what to do. I feel so betrayed and helpless. That money was supposed to be for my education, my chance at a better life. Now it's gone, used to buy a house for my mom and her abusive boyfriend. I don't know what to do. I've thought about calling my dad's family, but we haven't been close since he died. I've also considered reaching out to a school counselor or even a lawyer, but I'm scared of what might happen if I do. I feel so alone and scared. My mom has always been selfish, but I never thought she'd go this far. And Mark, he's just getting worse. I'm afraid of what he might do next, now that he knows he can manipulate my mom into doing whatever he wants. I guess I'm writing this because I need advice. Has anyone been in a similar situation? Is there anything I can do to get my money back? Should I try to find somewhere else to live until I turn 18? I'm just so lost and hurt, and I don't know where to turn. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this post to blow up like it did. Thank you all for your support and advice. To answer some common questions. 1. Yes, I'm sure the money was legally left to me. My dad had a lawyer set everything up before he died. 2. No, I don't have any other relatives I can stay with. My mom's family lives in another state, and I'm not close with my dad's side of the family. 3. I don't have any documents about the fund. Everything was handled by my mom after my dad died. 4. I'm in the US in case that's relevant for legal advice. I've read through all your comments, and I'm overwhelmed by the support. Many of you have suggested I talk to a school counselor or reach out to legal aid. I'm scared, but I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll try to talk to my school counselor tomorrow and see if they can help me figure out my options. Some of you have asked for more details about my situation, so here goes. My parents got divorced when I was 10. It wasn't a nasty divorce or anything. They just grew apart. My dad moved to a different city for work, but we stayed close. He would visit often, and I spent summers with him. He always made sure I knew he loved me and was thinking about me. When my dad died 2 years ago, it was sudden. He had a heart attack at work. I was devastated. He had always been my rock, the one I could turn to when things were tough with my mom. Losing him felt like losing a part of myself. After the funeral, my mom told me that Dad had left a significant amount of money for my college education. She said it was in a special account that she would manage until I turned 18. I remember feeling grateful that even after he was gone, my dad was still looking out for me. Things with my mom have always been complicated. She's not a bad person exactly, but she can be really selfish and immature. She's always been more focused on her own needs and wants than on mine. After the divorce, she went through a string of boyfriends, always seeming to choose guys who were bad news. Mark is definitely the worst of the bunch. He moved in with us about 6 months ago, claiming he was between jobs and just needed a place to stay for a while. But he never left, and he never really looked for work either. He spends most of his time drinking beer and watching TV or going out with his equally sketchy friends. The fights between my mom and Mark are scary. It usually starts with something small, Mark forgetting to do a chore, or my mom asking him about job hunting, but it quickly escalates into screaming matches. Mark will throw things, punch walls, and say horrible things to my mom. She'll yell back, telling him to get out, that she's done with him. But by the next day, they're always back together, acting like nothing happened. I've tried to talk to my mom about Mark's behavior, but she always brushes it off. She'll say things like, "You don't understand how hard it is to find a good man at my age," or, "He's just going through a tough time, he'll get better." It's like she's living in a different reality. As for me, I've been trying to keep my head down and focus on school. My grades have always been good, and I've been dreaming about college for years. I want to study engineering, maybe at MIT or Caltech. That's why my dad's college fund meant so much to me. It was my ticket to a better future. When I found out they had used my college fund to buy a house, I felt like my whole world had collapsed. It wasn't just about the money, although that was a huge part of it. It was the betrayal. The fact that my mom would choose her abusive boyfriend over her own daughter's future. The fact that she would throw away the last gift my dad had given me. The conversation when they told me about the house is burned into my memory. Mark was sitting there with this smug grin on his face, like he had pulled off some clever trick. My mom was trying to act excited, talking about how great the house was and how we'd all be so happy there. When I started crying and yelling, Mark just rolled his eyes and muttered, "See, this is why we didn't tell her beforehand." Always with the drama. My mom tried to calm me down, saying things like, "Honey, you don't understand. This is for all of us. We'll have a nice house in a good neighborhood. You'll have a bigger room, and we can always save up for your college later." But when I wouldn't stop crying, that's when she got cold and said that thing about having more right to the money because she gave birth to me. It was like a slap in the face. In that moment, I realized that my mom didn't see me as a person with my own hopes and dreams. To her, I was just an extension of herself, something she could use or discard as she saw fit. I've been avoiding them both since then. I leave for school early and come home late, spending as much time as I can at the library or at friends' houses. When I am home, I stay in my room with the door locked. I can hear them arguing about me sometimes. My mom saying they need to talk to me, Mark saying they should just leave me alone until I get over it. The worst part is, I don't know what's going to happen next. Are they really going to move us into this new house? What if I refuse to go? And what about my future? Without that college fund, I don't know how I'll be able to afford university. My dreams of studying engineering at a top school seem impossible now. I feel so trapped and hopeless. I want to fight back, to find some way to get my money back, but I don't even know where to start. And I'm scared of what Mark might do if I cause too much trouble. He's never hit me, but the way he loses his temper, I'm afraid it's only a matter of time. Some of you have suggested I try to record their fights or Mark's abusive behavior as evidence. I'll try to do that, but it's tricky because I try to stay out of the way when they're fighting. But maybe if I have proof, it will help if I need to get authorities involved. I'm going to try to talk to my school counselor tomorrow. I'm nervous about it, but I know I need help. I can't handle this on my own anymore. I just hope there's something they can do to help me. Thank you all again for your support and advice. It means more than you know to feel like someone is listening and cares. I'll try to update once I've talked to the counselor. Wish me luck. Update. Hey everyone. It's been a few weeks since my last post, and a lot has happened. I wanted to update you all on my situation and thank you for your support and advice. After talking to my school counselor, I realized I needed to take more serious action. The counselor was sympathetic but said there wasn't much the school could do directly. However, she reminded me of something I had completely forgotten in my distress. My dad's best friend, Steve, is a lawyer. I hadn't spoken to Steve since my dad's funeral, but I decided to reach out to him. I was nervous, but I knew I needed help from someone who could actually do something. I called Steve's office and left a message explaining who I was and that I needed help with a legal matter involving my dad's estate. Steve called me back the same day. As soon as I started explaining the situation, he was furious. He remembered my dad talking about setting up the college fund and knew exactly how important it was to my father that I have a secure future. Steve told me he would help me for free, as a favor to my dad's memory. We met at his office the next day after school. I told him everything about Mark moving in, the abuse, the fights, and how they had used my college fund to buy a house. Steve took detailed notes and asked a lot of questions. He was especially interested in the details of how the money was accessed and transferred. After I finished telling him everything, Steve explained that what my mom and Mark had done was illegal. The money had been left specifically for my education, and they had no right to use it for anything else, regardless of my mom being the custodian of the account. Steve said he was going to take immediate action. He filed some emergency paperwork with the court and then contacted the police to report the theft. He also did some digging and found out that my mom and Mark were planning a housewarming party for that weekend. On the day of the party, Steve picked me up from school. He had 2 police officers with him. We drove to the new house, arriving just as the party was getting started. I could see through the windows that there were quite a few people inside, including some of my mom's family members I hadn't seen in a while. Steve knocked on the door, and when my mom opened it, her face went pale. Before she could say anything, Steve introduced himself and the officers and asked to come inside. Mark, hearing the commotion, came to the door and started to get aggressive, but he backed down quickly when he saw the police. Once inside, Steve raised his voice so everyone could hear. He announced who he was, my late father's friend and attorney, and why he was there. The room went silent as Steve explained how my mom and Mark had illegally used my college fund to buy the house we were standing in. I'll never forget the looks on people's faces. Some were shocked, others angry. My aunt started crying. Mark tried to interrupt, claiming it was all a misunderstanding, but Steve shut him down hard. Steve then turned to my mom and Mark and said, "You have 2 options. 1, you can transfer the full amount of money back to a secure account for your daughter's education immediately. If you do this, we won't press criminal charges. 2, you can refuse, in which case I'll be filing a lawsuit on behalf of my client, and these officers will be arresting you both for theft and fraud." Mark started yelling, calling me ungrateful and saying I was tearing the family apart. But my mom just stood there, looking stunned. One of my uncles told Mark to shut up, saying he was disgusting for stealing from a child. It was intense and uncomfortable, but also kind of satisfying to see Mark and my mom finally face consequences for their actions. Some of the guests started leaving, giving me sympathetic looks as they passed. Others stayed, watching the drama unfold. In the end, my mom broke down crying and agreed to return the money. Steve made her sign some papers right there, with witnesses, agreeing to transfer the funds within 24 hours. He also made it clear that she would no longer have any access to the account. It would be managed by a neutral third party until I turned 18. As for Mark, he stormed out of the house, yelling about how he was done with all of us. One of the police officers followed him to make sure he didn't try to take anything that wasn't his. The aftermath has been difficult. I'm staying with my aunt for now while everything gets sorted out. My mom keeps calling and texting, alternating between apologizing and trying to justify what she did. I'm not ready to talk to her yet. I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust her again. Steve has been amazing through all of this. He's handling all the legal stuff and has even offered to help me look into scholarships and other financial aid options for college to supplement my returned funds. I'm still processing everything that happened. Part of me feels guilty for making a scene and embarrassing my mom in front of everyone, but a bigger part feels relieved and vindicated. For the first time in a long time, I feel like someone is truly on my side, fighting for me. I know things are going to be complicated for a while. I'm not sure what's going to happen with my living situation or my relationship with my mom, but at least I know my future is secure again. My college fund is safe and I can start planning for my education without that worry hanging over me. Thank you all again for your support and advice. It really gave me the courage to take action. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I feel more hopeful now than I have in a long time.